I'm out at my resource yard. Today's August 3rd. It's going to be a hot one today. Highs around 95. I like to hit these colonies in the morning. It's around 9:30, 10 o'clock. Get in there and get out before the heat comes, and we got storms coming this afternoon also. Today I'm just going to check a few of these colonies and make sure they're doing okay, check stores, make sure they're clean right, and overall summer health. Let's go ahead and pop some lids and see what we got. So as you all know, I keep most of my notes on the lid on all my hives. And I just wanted to start here and read these notes to you real quick. On 6/16, I found a capped queen cell and put on there possibly swarmed. I must have went back on 7/4 and I did not find any eggs or queen or sign of virgin queen. So then on 7/4 the same day, I added a frame of eggs. And I did that because I wanted to make sure they were queenless or they were having a queen issue. And then I came back on 7/11, and I found no cells that were drawn out on that frame, which therefore told me I either had a virgin running around or a queen that was already in the hive. So let's go ahead and get in here and see what we got today. So first thing I can tell, the bees don't have a real loud roar to them, which is telling me that I am queen right. I do remember leaving these colonies over here are all 8-frame. When I first started beekeeping, that's what I used. And when I switched over to 10-frame for more honey production, I had a bunch of equipment. So instead of just getting rid of them, I made a resource hive that I steel brood from and nectar frames and all when I'm doing my spring management. So I'm just going to go in here and see what we got in this top box before I get down to the bottom. I'm hoping they got plenty of food. Okay, so I am queen right. She's moved up here and laying in these medium frames. A little patch of brood right there. They do have nectar here on the outside. Nice nectar dome here. So that's good. I just want to get down to the bottom and get a better frame of brood. See what she looks like. Yeah, and here's a real heavy frame on the outside on the top. It's got pollen, plenty of nectar. So to answer my one question when I was coming out here today was how much do I have to feed these colonies? And looking at that, I'm not going to have to feed. This box has a lot of weight to it, so I won't have to feed these bees for a little while. Let's get down here and see how she's doing. Not as many bees down here. Like I said, they went queenless or something happened. They might have swarmed. I'm not in this yard as much. These bees are over at my dad's. So I didn't do a very good job. This is a nice, all empty comb here. Freshly drawn though. Definitely this year. No signs of eggs there. Good pollen frame, pollen. So that's really what I'm coming out here today. Over here, I want to make sure that these hives have what they need, especially through the month of August. And if they do, then I won't come back for 3 weeks or so to check on these. That's another great pollen frame. So I'm going to move these 2 pollen frames to the outside, and I'll tell you why in a second. Here's the frame that I put on here, 7/4. And it's always a good idea. If you have a queenless colony, or you think it's queenless, go grab a frame of eggs and drop it in there. and come back. You can almost come back the next day. If they're queenless and truly queenless, they'll have drawn out cells. Yeah, and here's real good brood pattern. So they are queen right. Just check one more. Yeah, it's beautiful. Beautiful pattern. I don't have to worry about this hive starving. I've already treated them. And on this side too. Nice brood pattern. So what I'm going to do with that frame that I brought out over here, I put these two pollen frames to the outside. This is a frame here with, I have space here on this pollen frame. And on this side, this is completely empty comb. So if they're not going to use it on this outside wall, I'm just going to drop that right in the center of the nest in hopes that that queen gets up in there and starts laying that up. Sometimes you have to manipulate these frames to help them. So this hive is good. They have food in the medium. I have a queen down in the bottom. Good brood pattern. She's moving up. So this hive, I'll take this hive right in the winter in this configuration right here. 8 frame deep and an 8 frame medium. And this is probably about 25, 30 pounds. They must have nectar and stored honey on the outside frames. So yeah, I'll mark on this box that today's date, that they're queen right, and they have food. Let's check another one. So again, this is just a resource yard that I've set up. And mainly what I use with these colonies is I'll use these for plug-in spots when I lose my production hives in the winter. If I lose 2 in a yard of 10, I'll just come over here and transfer this queen and frames a brood, and then I'm set up for that honey production yard. Now I will not do that to queens that I bring over here that I'm trying to get rid of, and that's mainly because I want good, better genetics over at my production yard. But you can still use these hives for pollen frames, food frames, and brood to boost your stronger colonies that you want to produce you honey. So let's go ahead and check this one out. See how they're doing. So I must have put this frame during the nectar flow in there. I was trying to get a lot of these Pierco white frames drawn. They did an okay job, and they have some stores here. And on the other side, I'll lift this box up and see how heavy it is. But by the looks of it, just looking down, I shouldn't have to feed this colony. For right now, at least. I like to get into these every 2 or 3 weeks or so. Just want to see if the queen moved up here. Yeah, it's a real heavy frame. And she did. So she's right here. I don't know if you guys can see her. Right there. So that's why you always got to be careful going through a hive. You just never know where she's going to be. So I'll drop her back down in there and check the weight on this box and go through the bottom. Yeah, there's good weight in there. So I won't have to feed them either. Good population of bees here. And I can tell by just looking down, if they're covering all 8 frames or all 10 frames, you know you have a healthy population. Looks like I stuck some frames in here at some point when I stole a frame for them to work on. So that's another thing about resource colonies. You can use them to draw your frames out. This is just some old super seeder cups here. Let's take those off. Nothing really going on in that frame, just a food frame. Yep, this is all I have to see. She's got this all laid up. And another thing is too, I'm going to try to get a shot of this for you all. You want your milk brood to be your larva to be real white, sitting in real white cups of food. And that's a good indication that they're healthy bees and they have the proper nutrition to feed the young bees. Yeah, she's doing good. So I'm going to be done with this colony. I know my queen's in the top box. They got plenty of food. And that's all I need to see. Here's a little bit smaller colony here, just in a single 8. And looks like I ran out of inner covers to feed them because I don't have my feeder plugs on these 8-frame lids. So I just dropped an excluder down there and gave them a bucket of sugar water. So we'll see if that helped them out a little bit in growing. Definitely a much weaker hive here. You can see when you look down in there, nothing is on the right hand side. I only have about 3 frames of bees. So let's see what this queen looks like. Not doing much there. So there is a queen in here, and she's got a good egg laying pattern. They might just need a boost. So I'll try to see if I can find her and see what her brood pattern looks like. And this time of year is real hard to get them to draw these combs out. I'm sorry, draw these frames out. I don't have the time or money to be feeding these colonies a gallon every couple days. So yeah, and that to me, I would say that queen is definitely worth giving a chance and using some resources out here to boost this population. Oop. She's right here at the bottom. So now that I know that she's right there, I'm just going to put her down safely on this side. Some of these bees off of here. And I'm going to go over to another hive and grab a full frame of brood and stick it right here in the middle. Be right back. Okay, so I got my frame of brood that I took out of a stronger colony. One thing I like about this frame is that there's no open larva, so they won't have to feed any larva. This is already capped. I'm getting ready to actually emerge brood. So this will help them out. And then on this side, I have room for the queen to lay in. There's no eggs in here, with nectar stores and pollen on the outside rim. So I will literally just drop that frame right down in the center here, and that will help them out. Not only do they not have to draw that frame out now, but that population will, once those bees emerge, it should boost this colony up some, and they'll go through the winter right here in this 8 frame deep. And I'll continue to feed them throughout the summer and see what they look like in about a month or so. This colony here was a queen cell. I just made a small split. I believe it was like a 2 or 3 frame split early in the year, and dropped one of my queen cells in here. Again, just for backup for queen issues in the fall, or if I have losses in the coming out of winter. Haven't been in here in a while. Curious to see how much they build up. Yeah, they look really good. Just looking on that lid, make sure I don't have the queen on there. A lot of propolis along these frames and along the outside, which that's real good. That means you have a healthy colony. Get down in here and see what this queen looks like. Not a whole lot on that frame. I'll have to checkerboard that frame in. Again, I'm just looking for good brood pattern and some food. And this is ideal. This is exactly what you want to see this time of year. I'll show you this other frame. It's a little bit better. You want to see a nice brood pattern and then a nice honey dome right around it. Just like this frame right here. You got emerging brood right here, and they've just got stores of nectar and capped honey in the corners. So you know this colony is going to be good at least a week or so, depending on if there's still a trickle of nectar coming in, and the weather stays like it has been, which we've been getting rain on and off, but sun also, which means we have stuff blooming. So that's really all I have to see in here. Let me peek at one more frame. These grafted queens just do so much better than when I've purchased queens. Yeah, she's got a really good brood pattern. They got pollen, honey, and food. Really good brood pattern. And on this other side, you can see here they got pollen in there. I don't really like a pollen frame right in the center, but they'll use it and make room for her to lay. She's laid in here, and all the empty space she has, and I can see down in there the next frame is completely capped. So this is a perfect situation of what I would like every hive over here at this resource yard to look like. They've been treated, they all have fresh queens, and they all have food. So what makes it, and I can use them in the regular honey operation and plug in my dead outs.